Everybody, welcome back to the One Step Better Business Podcast with Mike and with Matt.
What's up, brother?
I just had a moment there. I was like, is that still the name of our podcast? Like
is.
halfway through, it's like, oh, snap. I hope it's right.
It's still the same thing. We got this.
So today we're going to talk about conflict. Matthew, why is that?
Because I got hot yesterday at leadership, and I wanted to and in retrospect, I was like, I blew up over nothing. Why'd I do that? It was the tone and maybe how I interpreted it, but
you interpreted it right. You interpreted it right. That was I did not handle it correctly. So a little bit of context here. Leadership meeting this week. So I guess a few weeks ago we had a to-do that was go figure out some huddle stuff, which is a daily rhythm that we have with our entire team. That's feels like it's kind of getting a little bit stale. Is there, just talking about ways to refresh it. And so coming back to huddle to leadership yesterday was, hey, this is kind of what I want to do. And the way that I approached that was very commanding, directed, like this is what we're going to do. And that is not the way to approach anything in really any organization, especially a healthy one. And then that turned into, I think you said something along the lines of, I don't want to do that or something like that. Yeah. And it was just that triggering moment that I threw my hands up and I said, well, then what do you want to do in a very aggressive tone?
I don't think you meant to be aggressive. I took it as you have decided.
Yeah.
And I was like, I thought we were still building consensus.
Yeah.
But I took it as you've decided this. I'm like, wait a minute, you just said this is what you decided. And now I can't have and so I got frustrated.
Yeah.
I calmed back down after about 10 minutes.
We were good eventually. Yeah.
And what I appreciate that we had the conflict.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciated that. I don't think I handled the conflict well. I don't think I reacted and that's a tendency I have in general as a leader. I unfortunately react and then think instead of think and then react, which is probably a better order to do things in.
Sometimes.
Yeah. We have been together as a leadership team now, right at really 18 was when we really kind of kicked that off. That's almost 8 years. And 18, 19, 20, 8 years-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so this is not the first time we've had a conflict.
Sure.
It's the first time we've had one in a while. And I thought I've been thinking through I think as an owner or as the leader, a part of the challenge is your willingness to give up control, but also our conflict yesterday, to me, I felt it was a control thing that I overreacted on when I should have been more, I shouldn't have reacted.
I think there's a couple of principles here that I think are worthy of talking about. Firstly, from a leadership position, anytime we're reacting, because I was the same way. You had said something, I reacted poorly. And so it's the reactive piece that can sometimes get you in trouble, because oftentimes, I think you said it, sometimes it's better to think than react.
My 9 quick start, Mike, won't let that happen.
And it's tough. And so I think that's true for a lot of leaders. Anytime we're in a position where we find ourselves reacting to things instead of taking a breath and thinking about, all right, what's going on right now? How's the best way to handle this? It can sometimes get a little bit sideways. We have to to own that.
Yeah. And I think through the 5 dysfunctions of a team, trust allows us to have conflict and address it. If we never address those things, it would have festered.
Sure.
So at the end of the day, we ended up getting to a nice resolution. I don't know if either one of us, if we do it all over again, we probably would have done that whole thing a little bit differently. But
very much so. But I would hope so.
Yeah. But at the same time, what it didn't do? I don't think we'd allowed that to fester into we made a bigger deal out of this than it should, and now it's bothering me. I'm gonna have resentment. That kind of that's gone. And so I know that one of the things I have struggled with more than anything as I've had to relinquish or add people to my leadership team, is my lack of control. Mm-hmm. It is a very hard rub that I run into more than I wish sometimes, and sometimes I feel out of the loop, and sometimes I feel like I've gotten I lose purpose sometimes, or I lose well, that's not really not even how I would handle it, but like, I don't want to do that. Like, that's not how I want us to do things. And so it's hard to know the balance there, like of how much to give control, how much to give uh, freedom, like how much to step in. Like I hate to cut off. I had this happen with another one of our teammates. You know, it's like I hate to cut off a leader, but I also want to make sure that we that I don't want that to go off the rails. So like it's one of
Yeah.
those things where I have to be strong enough to have an opinion and be able to voice it, and also not undercut the leader. I mean, we've had that with before with, you know, historical employee issues or development. And when you said this is a leadership issue, I think about it on the accounting firm side. This is our client, this are our accounting managers, right? They have the same issue when the client calls, or they have the same issue when they need to train a staff or they get frustrated with the staff. It's no different than that. It's a different type of control. It's, hey, let's not react first. Let's think first and then react.
Yeah.
And think through how the best way to handle that. I think we get in the weeds and all the things happen, and next thing you know, we've reacted first and went, that was dumb.
Yeah. I'm going to beat you up a little bit here.
Okay.
Right? Because I think that the initial response of anybody that's in that founder role is giving up any level of control is extremely difficult, because you do want your hands in all of the things. Oftentimes that comes out of a position of, I want to make sure that our trajectory is going the way that I want it to go. And that's a good thing. Where it gets to be difficult to be in that second chair leader seat is when that level of control or even opinion are on things that aren't as significant.
Today's sponsor is Cloud Accountant Staffing. Every firm owner I talk to is asking the same question right now. Should we hire offshore? I'll tell you what we're doing about it. We've hired offshore before, and we're actively working with Cloud Accountant Staffing right now on a couple of roles at Patrick Accounting. The reason we pick them, they take the fear out of it. Disclosure, security, onboarding someone across the world. They've walked tons of firms through it. Their portal is really easy to use. It lets you browse real candidates that are available to hire right now, book interviews yourself. You can have them vet them for you. They help you with the whole process. So head to cloudaccountantstaffing.com right now. Links in the show notes.
Right. So like the issue that we had yesterday,
But not in the grand scheme of things,
wasn't a big deal.
Correct.
Right. It wasn't like the huddle stuff, and even the stuff, hey, I want to do this. That change was a temporary change that was only going to be for a couple of weeks, and it wasn't going to be like long-term big impacting. It was
correct. But it came
thing.
across as you'd already decided.
Yeah, the way that it went down, it was very different.
That's the part that rubbed me more than anything.
Correct.
It's already been decided we are doing this. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, but I want to talk about that though, because in my role, I do have to make those decisions on things that are not as big or major, with little to no input from other people.
Correct.
And I think that's true with any leader, that you don't always have that ability to get input.
I think the clarity of what we had asked you to do was not as clear as it could have been. I thought we were still, my assumption was we were still exploring what we were going to do, and we were going to finish that with a conversation, not go decide and tell us.
Right.
And so that's my own, like, hey, I thought we were still figuring this out, because I had been tasked with a little piece of that. You had been tasked with interpreting it. I had shared the results. I'm like, I still want to.
In your mind, we are still in the brainstorming thought process. In my mind, we are in the let's make a decision and just move on, because this isn't a big enough deal. So
correct. Which is what the rub was.
Correct.
I'm going,
correct.
I thought we were still talking about this. But you've decided. That's what bothered me.
But it's interesting, because a lot of those disagreements, a lot of that conflict comes out of a position of we're misunderstanding one another.
For sure.
And I think the most important thing, especially in the context of our relationship or even our leadership team, is that we always have those misunderstanding, or even that conflict is still coming out of a place where we have best interest at heart.
Correct. And I think
that's where the trust is.
I think we both decompressed a little bit. I shut down for about 5 minutes probably. And then I'm like, okay, we're going to get this resolved. And you also, hey, I'll retreat a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it was, hey, this was, I don't know what.
As soon as you responded, I knew right then it was, I did not handle that well.
Correct.
You know, it was.
Yeah. So all that being said, what I appreciated about it was, at the end of the day, I think we're addressing it. So it's not like this is uncomfortable. I don't want that to happen again. I've had this happen with my wife at work early on. When my wife first started working with me, I was treating her like my wife, not even like my wife, like an employee I had no filter on, and which I would never treat another employee that way.
Yeah.
And you called me out on it. I remember that very clearly. And I remember going, yeah, you're totally right. And I tried to be better at that. I'm probably not perfect at that. But I also think about this in terms of, we've had conflicts before, and it's always one of those things where once we address it, we're good. I think that's part of learning. I always say this, this is the first time I've ever led an organization of this size, and tomorrow will be the first time I've ever done that. So I'm always still learning, and I'm still a work in process, and I am not a perfect leader, and I am not I don't have everything figured out. And I think you're still learning to be a leader and learning how to, balance all the stuff. We all have our strengths in that, but also we have, I have my own tendencies. You can ask my kids. I mean, I react the same way at home. Like I would have reacted the same way with my kids as I would have reacted yesterday. Like, so I'm still learning how to mature myself as a leader. And my 9 quick start does come out quite a bit.
So. Yeah. But I still think there's some principles here that I think are super important, because one is the trust aspect. Even in that moment of conflict, a little bit of tension, heated, whatever you want to call it, even in that moment, I never thought about that through the lens of, oh, Matt is going crazy, or Matt is being goofy, or, it was always through the lens of, cool, we need to approach this differently, because right now we are not going to be able to hear each other, right?
Correct.
And I think that you and I have that trust to be able to do that.
Correct. And that's taken
apart from that, if that trust is off the table, or if you're a firm that has a new leadership team where you don't have that trust, this is going to be a really, really, really sensitive
in that
area.
5 dysfunctions of a team. That is the first layer.
Yeah.
And I think that I agree with that. Patrick Lencioni talks about that. I think that's exactly right. We have a good friend of mine who's in the process of developing his leadership team, and he's trying to figure this out. And part of it is he's a bunch of new leaders. And so he's still trying to figure out what's the right role. How do I trust them yet? Well, we built this over, and even before we had a leadership team in 18, we were already one-on-one working as leaders. And so, when we go into a review group now, or I think about our financial review group at PASPA, and they see our relationship, they go, how did you guys
get
here?
Weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause you're not afraid to give your opinion. And that's, I appreciate that. And I also think
sometimes
it depends if you're wrong.
That's right. That's never happened.
Yeah. But no, but at the same time, the goal on that was, I know that we're still both coming out of we still have the same goal in mind.
Absolutely.
And so that we have developed that trust that it fixes a lot of things. Because we all know that, like, hey, we're still on the same page. I think that as we're working that with our leaders, it's very similar to that. They have to do that same level of trust building with their teams. And when they do that, they can have healthy conflict, which is what you want.
Absolutely. So in that, one of the things that I get hit up with a lot, especially in the PASPA group, is where a firm, like somebody that's like been in your role, the owner, the founder, or the president of that company, is now exploring, I need to bring additional people into my circle so that I can actually run this company. And so oftentimes I'll get hit up with, all right, talk to me a little bit about your role, my role, and how you and I communicate and all that. And one of the things that I always tell this actually happened in San Antonio this past week. I was talking with somebody that just got put into a COO role, I think about 4 months ago or so. And one of the first things that I like to tell people is you need to find something to disagree about. Because I believe that you have to practice conflict. And the best way to practice conflict.
You always embrace conflict.
I like conflict, right? But part of the reason, it's not the only reason, but part of the reason is because I think that you have to run scenarios to figure each other out. It's like, in a way, way, way more high stakes game. Like you think about our military.
Yeah.
They train all the time. They do dry fire drills. They're running through stuff, getting ready for the battle. I think it's important to force conflict so that you can force disagreement. I do not want to do that on big, high stake things.
Yeah.
But I do want to do that over little silly things. And so I think that if you're on the president founder role, or that second chair leader role, I think one of the most healthy things you can do is find little things to disagree on, especially when if you find yourself agreeing on a lot of stuff, you need to find something to disagree on just to practice those conversations.
I can tell you, I appreciate the conflict. I think of you a little bit as another sounding board partner. I think about you as going, this is the one shoulder versus the other, the good angel and the devil, because I am an eternal optimist.
We think differently.
Correct. Yeah. I'm an eternal optimist. I always think everything's going to work out. I just do. And so let's go. Let's try it. And that is a good thing. And it's also a bad thing. It's like anything else. And so as I've thought about, as we've grown, I wouldn't want a bunch of yes people around me. That's just a bunch of helpers. That's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I don't need a bunch of helpers.
But it's a lot easier to find those people around you than somebody that's going to
Now,
rub.
if I'm trying to get, hey, I need you to go do things, maybe I want a yes person, but that's not the role I want. I want you to lead things, which is way different. And, that's where, I know as we're developing our team here, we struggle with this with our leaders. It's teaching them how to lead through conflict, lead with, we talked about the servant leadership. Servant leadership is I'm going to be, what can I do to help you succeed? My job is to help you succeed. And I look at that as a way of going, I'm here to help and empower you, but I also need you to understand what that means. And so I find this to be a fun conversation. I think I know that I'm a better leader today than I was 10 years ago. And hopefully I'm a lot better leader in 10 years than I am now. But at the same time, it is something that it's never figured out. It's still a work in process.
It's a constant struggle. I mean, it is, because there's always going to be something new that pops up, and you have to learn how to deal with it. You had mentioned, servant leadership. I think one of the issues in today's leadership structure of a lot of companies, in my opinion, is that a lot of people will think of getting put into a leadership role as a place where they then get to dictate. I get to tell people what to do. I get all the benefits, all of the attention, all the glory that comes with that. And as part of that, I get to tell everybody else what to do. Look at me, look at me, look at me. And that is not what leadership is at all. If anything, it is a place of servanthood where you get to come and you have to really check your ego at the door. You oftentimes don't get credit for the good things that happen if you do it well. You have to share all of that credit to everybody else. And it's a really lonely spot a lot of times. And with the wrong motives, I want to get promoted. I want to get into that next role because I want the title, or I want the pay bump, or I want the benefits. If that's the motive, it's going to be a rough spot.
It's not. The leadership has a lot more burden than it has benefits.
Absolutely.
I feel like that.
But but until you're in the role, it's really hard to actually see.
Oh, for sure. I thought about Bob Hester, longtime Memphis managing partner, Arthur Anderson here in town. And I looked at him as, oh my God, I bet you he has the best life.
Mm-hmm.
And now I think oh wow, I bet you he had a very stressful career. He just did. I mean, and he's a super wise man. I looked up to him my whole career, and I look back now and go, oh yeah, one of the things I've always said, the only things that ever hit my desk now at a client level are problems.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I ever hit myself at my desk from a people problem are problems. I don't ever get people, hey, these people are working out great.
Yep.
That never hits my desk.
Yep.
I get this person's struggling and this client stinks and this client's not doing what I want them to do. And we didn't service somebody well. That burden is hard. And then you also think through the burden of going, there's the burden of, I always think about this whole, this business is, I'm a servant to it with the goal of am I the best steward of it? Because it's this thing has to have a life. Think about all the families that this impacts, both us and our clients. And so there's a lot of burden there. But yeah, I think conflict is something that healthy conflict means healthy org. You should be having healthy conflicts, not just bickering. But
yeah, but you can't get healthy and you can't do conflict well
without trust,
without practice. Well, absolutely without trust, but without practicing it.
Yeah.
And if you are in that second chair leader seat and you're afraid to generate conflict, whenever you actually need to have a really difficult conversation with your leader, it's going to be tough because
Correct.
you don't have that experience. You don't have that. I like to push your buttons just to see how you're going to react. When I see how you react, well, that's going to inform how I need to approach something. I know that if I go this route, he's going to do this, or I'm going to go this route and see what happens. I got to push those buttons a little bit.
So you're learning how to manipulate me, Mike.
So it's funny. Meredith and I had this conversation just this past weekend. What's the difference between influence and manipulation? It's your intentions.
Yeah.
If my intentions are negative or hurtful, then that's manipulation.
Or
selfish. Yeah. But if my intentions are pure, I'm trying to learn more about how this is going to work. I'm trying to help steer direction. That's influence, right? I have struggled over the years, even in my own leadership, I've struggled with that balance. And I have to constantly ask myself, why am I doing this? What am I trying to accomplish?
Is that ego sometimes? Or what are the other motivating factors? It's really, what are the other motivating factors of why you're trying to do this?
Yeah. Well, you have to think about, like, what is the end result? Is this something that's going to serve me? Is this something like, I don't know, we haven't had this conversation, but if I came into your office and I started asking you questions about, hey, have you seen the salaries of COOs of accounting firms in the Memphis area? Well, what do you think that's about? That's self-serving to me. I'm trying to lead a conversation that's going to serve me.
Yeah, I see you're one of the highest ones. I think I should cut your pay in half.
Yeah. But like those kind of things that if I approach a conversation, and I have to really check myself to see, am I trying to steer this for my benefit or the benefit of the organization?
Yeah, it's the same thing anytime we're talking to any of our employees. Like, if I'm like right now, I'm doing some exploration about our systems and process and all the things, and I think I've been doing some like one-on-one conversations. If they don't understand my motive of why I'm having that conversation, they could see it as he's trying to manipulate, or there's fear that comes up there. And I'm going, no, here's the honest truth of what I'm working on. Here's why I care. And here's why I want to have the conversation for. And so I'm trying to lead that down as my foundation of going, I'm trying to figure this out for the long term. Yeah. That's kind of fun.
Yeah. So, that can rub up against the control stuff we're talking about.
Correct.
Right?
Absolutely.
So a lot of times that can be seen as, oh, he doesn't trust me. He's coming in to try to tell me what I'm supposed to be doing or how to do my job. And that's not where you're coming from at all.
No, I'm trying to understand it. Right now I'm looking at what are roadblocks, friction points that we can improve.
Yeah, because you're thinking of this, how can I help you? They can see it as he's trying to come in and take something over.
Correct.
And that can create conflict.
And I also did this. This is also leadership stuff. I'm doing that with a couple layers below me.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to have conversation with Kim, the leader, and with the team leaders about what I'm doing and why.
Yeah.
So they know that I'm not trying to undercut them. I don't have a perspective, but I need some perspective.
Those skip level meetings
are hard.
Can get really sideways.
Sure. They sure can. And, I think as a leader, I think skipping levels is an issue. And part of that is, we're the size of a firm where I have to trust some leaders, right? That's where I'm at.
Yep.
The other problem of that is I need to have the trust factor with that leader that they can help get me the information I need. It's hard, with everything else, whatever you want to go do. So like it's, I want to make sure that I'm not undercutting them, or I'm not cutting, I'm not cutting legs off from them, so I can get to the point where they are understanding what I'm trying to get to. So making sure I have a good consensus first of what I'm working on before I do it.
Yeah.
I just can't react and use my 9 quick start.
I think about that through like the lens of the public and private side of that, right? Mm-hmm. So if I'm doing like skip level meetings, if I'm going and talking to like a staff accountant or our CSS team, both of those roles report to different people that then report up to me eventually. I want to be very clear if we're having a conversation or any decisions are being made, and it's really not decisions, but like influence of what should happen. I always want to end that with, that's interesting. I'm going to talk to whoever their leader is, and see how they think about this. Or I'm going to tell that person, you have some really good insight there. You should go to whoever that leader is.
That's exactly,
and talk about that, because I always want to be sensitive to that leader as being the leader.
Correct.
And that without that public-private thing, it's tough.
That's where the rub is. There's control there. There's how do I get everyone on the same page? How do I lead us all? I think of a leader as the front of the troops, right? That is my goal. I am not a behind the troops leader. So I want to get all the troops coming with me up the hill.
Mm-hmm.
If that's true, I've got to get all the troops behind me. I can't go, well, that one guy over there is in the trees. He's not paying attention. So how do I build consensus?
Yeah.
Make sure we all know where we're going, what the direction we're going to, and we're all working towards the same goal.
Yep.
That can be hard if you're like, the person right behind me, I think might shoot me in the back.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
So that's where the trust comes in. And so I've got to always be thinking about that through my lens of leader.
Yeah.
It's so hard. It's so hard.
It is. Especially, I mean, you think about, because you've always said, and I like this framework. You've always said, today is the first day that I've led an organization this size. And that's absolutely true.
I've never done it.
Absolutely true. Unless we fire a couple people today and then, yesterday. But that framework, because you say that here, you say that to our entire team.
Yeah.
It puts that into perspective of,
I'm figuring this out.
Matt realizes he's not perfect. He knows that he makes mistakes, and this is new to him too.
Yeah.
And when I hear that, well, there's grace given there.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what, Matt? That was a really dumb idea. I will never say that to the team. That's the public part of it.
But you would tell me that.
But privately,
you would tell me,
dude, what are you doing?
What are you thinking?
To?
I don't know. That was dumb.
Yeah.
And that happens. I mean, it does. And you've been kind enough. I think that's kind enough to tell me that. And also going, I know, but here's why I did it, and here's how I got there, and it was pretty stupid. I overreacted.
Yeah.
And I've overreacted on a client before. I've overreacted with how I handle a client. And there's lots of stories. We'll talk about those off air. But how I've overreacted with an employee, how I've like, hey, I don't know. I mean, I'm still figuring this out. Today is the first day. Like, that's like I'm learning.
Yep.
And that is, I think, a strength that I realized that, but also it's a weakness. Going, I don't know. I don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
And so it's that's vulnerability.
And at the end of the day, you got to have trust, especially between, in our world, on the EOS model, the integrator and the visionary.
And reality is with the whole leadership
absolutely,
team.
Absolutely. You have to have that trust. But that trust also has to be willing to say, hey, you know what? I disagree fully, or I think this is a really bad decision. And
here's why.
This is what we're going to do.
Yep.
And I got to get on board. And
I do have the time making vote. I don't want to exercise that like all the time because I have to trust the leader. At the same time, I also have to be willing. Hey, I should have. In my hindsight, I should have said, "Hey, have we already decided?" I should have said, "Hey, have we already decided this, or can we still have a conversation?" And so I should have handled that yesterday. We probably wouldn't have gotten any further different answer than we ended up getting to. But if I would have been thinking, I'd be like, "Hey, have we already decided this, or something we can talk about?" Because I have some questions here.
Clarifying questions are always a good path.
But it's either just to throw gasoline on and see what happens. Like,
yeah. I mean, sometimes that's worth it. Grab your popcorn.
That's right. See what happens. Right. So I thought it was fun.
Yeah. Good conversation. I mean, this is one I think we could talk about for a long time, about a lot of different examples of how conflict has happened, not just between us, but between our teams, between the people that we lead,
how we handle our clients,
how what does it look like to start to delegate and handle your kids. I need some help there.
I have a list. You have a girl who's gonna be a teenager in about 5-6 years.
Yeah.
She's 7.
She's 7. Yeah. She's 7. So we got about 6 years left.
There you go.
And I don't know. She's going on 30 though. So I don't know.
Well, just wait. Actually, it's the years like 10 through 14 that are worse. 10 through like 23.
Yeah. I used to work with middle school kids. I understand what those years look like. That's why I never wanted a girl.
Yep.
So good stuff. Really appreciate you guys joining us. If you have some insight, help us grow through our conflict. We would love to hear it. Leave a comment. Also, make sure you click subscribe, like, all the things. It really helps us out. You are our only marketing of this entire podcast. So really appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Y'all have a great day.